Yeah, good afternoon. Lots is the answer, Jim. Lots of clubs up and down the Premier League trying to get their business done. We're 10 days into the window now. I thought the summer was frenetic. January is shaping up to be just as frenetic. And unusually, it's not just the club struggling at the wrong end of the Premier League table. That's historically where most of business is done in January. But we know Chelsea are trying to bring in Joao Felix and many more players beside. We know that Manchester United are looking for a new striker. Liverpool have already done business. Arsenal want to strengthen their position at the top. So this could be, again, a record-breaking January.
Yes, indeed. So Tottenham, we were talking about Tottenham earlier on. Is there going to be Qatari investment? Maybe. We'll see. True, they're considering a move for a Brighton player.
Yes, it is. I'm told the interest in Leandro Trossard is genuine. Interesting situation for Brighton because they've just triggered a year's extension in his contract. His old deal was due to expire in the summer. As Simon will testify, that isn't a great place for any club to be in, letting a player run down his contract. He is now tied in until the summer of 2024. But I think unless he agrees to a longer term deal, inevitably Brighton will have to cash in the summer. And they could cash in this month should a significant offer be made. Now, Daniel Levy and significant offers don't usually go hand in hand, so it'll be interesting to see if Tottenham do bid. They haven't so far, how much he's prepared to pay. I'm told Arsenal also monitoring this situation. Chelsea and Graham Potter have been linked at the moment. They haven't come to the table, but certainly one to keep an eye on with Leandro Trossard.
It's no surprise, Simon, that some of the so-called more elite clubs are lining up to try and plunder Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, whether Brighton players are going to kick the top sides on to the next levels of discussion. Alex, I wanted to ask you, we sort of talked about it before the break, about what kind of transfer window this could be. I know you're alluding to the fact that it has the potential to be a record-breaking one. I think so too. Do we get any sense of kind of spend that we think could occur during this month?
Well, I think, again, clubs are going to have to be fairly creative because there's still these FFP issues. So, for example, had Chelsea have signed Enzo Fernandez, that isn't going to happen now, according to Benfica. That would have been 105, maybe even 110 million pound transfer. They would have staggered the payments, but it would have shown on the books, it would have shown on the records, 110 million pound transfer. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of these X amount of payments up front with add-ons.
What's the biggest window, Alex? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Do you know what the biggest January window is in spend? Because I got a feeling that this could be one of the biggest windows that we've ever seen in January.
I think it will be. I think this will outstrip the lot, Alex, don't you?
Yeah, I think the last one was fairly high, to be honest. I don't have the figure in front of me as to what the record is, but obviously we wondered coming out of the COVID pandemic whether the spending would slow down. I don't think it did. Certainly last January was fairly manic. But yeah, I agree with Simon. I think we could be looking at a record-breaking figure. And just the number of transfers as well. We're going to talk about Southampton in a minute. They've got a second player undergoing a medical today, having already signed Mislav Orsic. They still want a centre-back. They want a striker. That's 4 players joining Southampton alone. I think we could see 4 or 5 players pitching up at Bournemouth. Wolverhampton Wanderers are looking in the same terms. So in terms of the number of deals, we could be heading for a record there as well.
Yeah. Todd Bowley, Chelsea owner, is in Los Angeles at the moment. Now we hear Chelsea have reached an agreement with Atletico Madrid to sign Joao Felix on loan. Is it true this would be worth about 9 million quid? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe nearer 10 million plus his wages. You're looking at a 16, 18 million pound loan deal. Effectively, I'm really keen to get Simon's view on this as a former owner, whether he would sanction such a deal. There's no buy option. There's no obligation to buy. So on the face of it, this is a possible 18 million pound transfer to sign a player for a matter of months. I'm not convinced that makes brilliant business sense. They're still in for Marcus Thuram as well, the French forward who's at Borussia Mönchengladbach. His contract comes to an end in the summer. They're trying to get that deal done, I'm told, Chelsea. But for me, Joao Felix, that's a big financial gamble.
But is it, Alex? You look at it and say it's a £9 million cost. Put the wages to one side because wages are what they are, right? You get a player to play for you, pay his wages. But the real issue is what you're paying for him on a loan fee. If you bought that player for 60 million quid or 70 million quid or 80 million quid and put him on a 4-year contract, he'd depreciate by 9 million quid over the 6 months you got him for. So the capitalisation of that player would be exactly the same as paying a loan fee. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You're paying £9 million to have him for 6 months. If you had him for 4 years and you paid £80 million, you'd be paying £9 million for 6 months. It's the same thing.
And I guess if he was to score the goals that get Chelsea into the top 4, I think that's unlikely at this stage.
If he brings them up 3 spaces in the league, Alex, at £2.5 million, £3 million a merit spot, there's his loan fee.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, it just, for me, the numbers don't quite add up, given that Atletico Madrid are so desperate to get him out. We know that Simeone doesn't really see him as part of their future. I wonder if Chelsea could have held their nerve a little bit and then maybe reduced the loan fee. Again, it is only January the 10th.
But that then steers into the narrative that Todd Bowley doesn't know what he's doing.
Listen, you guys, 295 million was spent last January. That's the second highest. The record was in 2018 when 430 million was spent.
Because I was going to say to Alex, I think that they will go past 500 million in this market.
In this one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Simon's former club, Crystal Palace. Any news about them and WAN-BISSAKA?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it looked a couple of weeks ago that Aaron Wan-Bissaka would almost certainly leave this month. Then actually, he was put back in the first team and actually played well for a couple of games. Got a decent assist in the first team. I think Manchester United would like a replacement right back before letting him go. I think Dalot probably is still Ten Hag's first choice, but they won't want to leave themselves short of cover. Wolves are also keen on Wan-Bissaka. West Ham have inquired in the past, but I'm told that if United agree to let Wan-Bissaka go this month, Crystal Palace, given their connection with the player, they're very confident they would be in the box seat. And I think he'd be a good signing for Palace. You know, he's a good defender. What he isn't great at is playing for a team who dominate possession and maybe that attacking side of the game. But I think for Palace, would he improve them defensively? I think the answer is yes.
What do you think the fee on that would be,
the money
Alex?
they paid.
What kind of fee range do you think Wan-Bissaka? He went for 50 million quid.
Yeah,
and Palace have already had United over, haven't they? They had him over on Zaha. They sold them for 13 million quid in 2013 and got him back for 3 million quid. Is history going to repeat itself in this instance?
I think it would, you know, with the
10,
greatest will in the world.
10.
They're not going to get anywhere near 50. Maybe 15, given the interest from other Premier League clubs. Would United be willing to send him out on loan? I think probably best for all concerned if it was a permanent deal. But again, this just shows the poor decisions that United have made in the market.
How long have they had him at United? 3 years?
Yeah, that would sound about right.
Then if they sell him for 15 million quid, they'll be booking a profit, so they may well do it at that level.
You sound like you're very interested in the transfer window for some reason. Any reason why?
I'm trying to feign interest.
That's very good.
Because I normally sit here with a face like a smack backside.
All right, what's the record spend in January? What did they pay for him? How much was he?
I've only been back for 2 days. I've had 2 weeks off, don't worry. I'll soon be dulled
That's
out.
very good. We're glad you're investing.
He's having another
yourself.
day off, isn't he, tomorrow?
Yes, he's not in tomorrow. In fact, I'll be joined by your good self, mate. You mentioned Southampton earlier, and that makes me think, and I've seen a couple of messages go through there. Daz Maeda at Celtic. Is there truth in this, Alex?
Well, they're looking to strengthen in the forward areas. So I know they've got a fairly lengthy list. There was another name that came out today that I'm chasing up. There seems to be a different name linked with Southampton every day, but I will try and get you information on those Celtic connections, certainly by tomorrow. The one signing we do know that they're close to making is that of the Brazilian midfielder, Carlos Alcaraz. He's said his goodbyes to his club, Racing Club. It's going to be a £12 million transfer. There's a little bit extra in add-ons as well. He's having his medical as we speak this afternoon at Staple. That will be their second signing. Already signed Mislav Orsic, the Croatian, and they want a centre-back and a striker at least. I'm told they're interested in Michael Keane at Everton. Maybe isn't quite as strong as it was this time last week, so maybe back to the drawing board on that department.
Okay. Alec, a final one. Yeah, quite a number of Manchester United fans are asking us, and you will know because no doubt you'll be knocking on United's door. Our friend Weghorst, is he going to end up there? What's the latest? The Dutchman, obviously we know, has been at Besiktas on loan, but his parent club's Burnley. What's the situation?
Well, the situation is that I think negotiations are now with Besiktas to see how much they want to terminate the loan. They put a statement out yesterday, I think it was, suggesting that reports that there was a £2.5 million recall fee. Not true. That tells you they're going to play hardball with Manchester United. They want as much money out of United as possible. There's even been suggestions by sources over in Turkey that Weghorst might be willing to pay his own release clause. That's how keen he is to make this move to Manchester United. That will be music to the ears of United supporters. This looks like their main target now. They had conversations with George Mendes, who was brokering Felix's departure from Atletico Madrid. They didn't want to pay the type of loan fee that Chelsea are. So it will come down to if they can agree a fee with Besiktas. But I don't think the Turkish side are going to make this easy.
Okay. It kind of smacks of Odion Ighalo. I don't know if you'd agree from a few seasons ago, does it not?
A little bit in terms of, I don't think anybody saw it coming. If you drawn up a list of potential targets at the start of the window, then certainly Weghorst wouldn't have sprung to mind. But I think if you take away his ill-fated stint at Burnley, this is a player who averages a goal every other game. He did well for the Netherlands at the World Cup. I think he's a better player than Odion Ighalo, in fairness.
Yeah, okay. We'll see if Southampton knock in Celtic's door again. They've done it in the past. Virgil van Dijk, Stuart Armstrong, to name but two. We are now at 12:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.